Hello and welcome to the Wealth Rules Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Monique Wright with Wealth Done Right. And today we have Vickie Helm with the Underpinned Women. How you doing today, Vickie?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here. I'm super excited about the topic we have today. I just want to say welcome. I see you guys popping on. Jules, thanks for joining us today. Jules Mold, I don't know where you are. And Drayton, welcome. I'm glad you guys are here and popping on. We have a live show today it's so important for you to hear this. And Nisha, nice that you joined. Thank you for joining us. We got a bunch of people jumping on.
Yeah, thank you for
So
coming on.
yeah, I think it's great. So, how have you been? How's the world? And let's talk about that today. Thank you for all the hearts and loves, everybody.
Absolutely. So today, one of the things I wanted to talk about is what is happening in the real estate industry. What is happening with high earners and the home buying process?
Yeah.
You know, Vickie, it's something now that is happening and it's happening to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, we have real estate stress that we don't know what to do with.
Absolutely. So today I just want to talk about how high earners, well, first of all, if you think that if today you're going to buy a $3 million home and you're going to be able to have an asset, you're wrong. That's going to be a luxury item. That's a personal, purchase. That's not an asset purchase because your
And I
capital.
want to distinguish between what you just said right there,
Mhm.
because I think that's so important. It's now a luxury purchase, it's not an asset purchase. Can you say more about that?
With a personal purchase of a home and a luxury purchase of a home, your capital is locked in. You're not
Hmm.
able to take your money out and have more equity only because rates are going up, HOA dues are going up, taxes are going up, insurances, everything's getting higher now. So where you would have been increasing your equity, now you're losing money.
Yeah.
And the wealthy are saying, hey, let's use it as an asset. We're not geographical based. What we're doing is we're moving to states that have tax breaks, tax advantages. Think of Texas, for instance.
Hmm.
If you're in New York, San Francisco, LA, and you bought a property for your personal home, chances are you're in a higher bracket and your money is tied up. You're locked in.
Yeah, even if you wanna move, you're kinda staying where you are because you can't move, and that lock-in allows people to and right now, people are looking at the turbulence that's happening in the
Mhm.
world, and they're thinking, "Oh my gosh, my high salary might not be able to support the lifestyle of the home I've chosen." Is that true?
100%. You have the high earners who are saying, my W-2 income and my credit score, that we talked about that before. I'm going to be
Mhm.
dependent on that. And they think that they're going to be able to use it as an asset when really it's sucking up all their capital.
Yeah.
What we're saying to do is, hey, take that liquidity. Don't be so heavy in equity in your personal home if your home is in the millions, but think about changing where your liquidity is going to be at.
You know, I just want to say I have personal experience with this. When the home buying came in and the market was lower and I was making enough money that I could buy the bigger the better to get the enormous
Mhm,
one,
mhm,
and for some reason there was part of me thought that when you bought a home, what we were taught in our wealth building is that when you buy a home, you buy a starter home,
right.
and then once you bought that starter home, then you would upgrade to the dream home, the buy the dream home. So what happens is a lot of times when people start becoming big earners, they skip the starter home and they go right to the big dream home. And that seems to be how they think we're building wealth. Now, I want to be really clear with you guys. Today's conversation isn't about real estate.
No.
It's about building wealth and how you build wealth in an uncertain, high volatility market and rethinking about what you're doing. So, a lot of what these, I want to make sure I hear this clearly because a
Mhm,
lot of what these people are doing or what we're doing is we get that degree and we get that high paying job. And right now, people who want to own a home are getting the high paying job,
Right.
and then they're looking at where the high paying job is and what the real estate market is like. So
Hmm.
they're trying to track where they should move based on the cost of real estate, their salary, plus all the sundries that come under that, which are HOA fees. I don't think we're ever going to see normal property taxes again. So
No.
we might want to rethink even the starter home size. Like, if we're looking at a home, we want one that we can maintain long term in turmoil. But right now, what I see is I see some of the real estate prices coming back down. I see that,
Hmm.
but they're still extraordinarily high, and they're still kind of out of the range for an average salary. And I want to talk about, we're building wealth here, and we're not like, let's go talk about real estate and buy a home. This isn't. We're cautioning you on building
Yes.
your wealth stack right now.
Hmm.
So, and what if you owned a home right now? Because there are people who did that, who bought the big dream home, and now they're thinking, oh, I should downsize to my starter home like they did that. Now it's going in reverse. And I'm wondering, what do you think people should do? Let's talk about kind of the situation, how we see it going out like 5 years from now, or
Hmm.
how do we see people trying to actually win at this? Thank you guys for all the hearts and loves. Appreciate it.
The
How do
win,
we go ahead and do? What do we do?
right? The win is going to be to shift your mindset. Don't look at your, first purchase, your single family home, the home where you and your family are going to be living a luxury lifestyle.
Hmm.
Think of it as an asset, and then think of other income producing assets as well. Buy in a secondary market. Think about places where you can actually afford to buy a decent home, but the market is good. The market's still booming, it's growing.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
going to be a lot of renters. There's going to be a lot of travel. There's still little pockets there.
Yeah.
So when someone is thinking about purchasing a home, don't just think, oh, I want to live here, New York, LA. It's going to cost you too much. And take your liquidity out and buy a home in another market, and then do basically, like you said, a stack. You can get property, but
Yeah.
do it the right way. Do it with a strategy. That W-2 income and that credit score that you're relying on is not going to help you. It is not going to be the win for you that you think it's going to be. It's going to lock
Yeah.
your it's going to if you think you're going to be equity heavy, you're not, because the fees are again going to eat everything up you have left.
Yeah, I think that's a very important thing because the reason people buy a home is because the investment is so high. Now, I want to ask you a couple of things.
Mhm.
Um, right now, there's some turmoil, I think, in the job markets, not because of AI, but because if your job's in the city, if
Mhm.
your job is in that big town and you're not a remote worker, you're not somebody who's, you know, building wealth. I'm thinking to myself, if I can't afford a home, fine, let's start from there. It doesn't mean you can't build wealth. It means that
Exactly.
you have to build wealth differently. You have
Mhm.
to give that wealth management a different thing. So let's just say right now, one of the things that I did, I had, I'd gone to, I don't know, some conference or whatever, but one of the people told me, it's like, here's your personal money. You have your personal money, and then you have your investing money. And
Mhm.
so what happened is I started putting investing money in the investing thing. And then I looked at purchases I could make that were assets. So
Yes.
if the investment money meant that I could buy a business, and
Mhm.
what I used to do is I'd buy the business, I'd fix it up and then flip it. Like people fix and flip houses, I would fix and flip businesses. And then I would sell this turnkey business out to wherever it was. And maybe I made 40 or 50 or $60,000 on the deal. And
Mhm.
then I put that money into the investment pot. And it just grew over a period of time. So, what about people who buy a home
Mhm.
and put it like in an LLC as part of a, there's a way to buy something to protect it, to have something that is more business-esque. Like there's a huge hunk of my home that
Mhm.
is offices. That's where we do businesses, we work with clients, we make videos like we're doing right now. And I'm wondering if they don't have a wealth position that says, yes, I can invest in a house safely over
Mhm.
the look long term, 5 years at least owning that home, because I don't think the market is going to see skyrocketing times like we see now. I think it's going to come down. And if you can't afford the home, what if you saved enough, or, you know, what if you made a business of fix and flip, or
Mhm.
what could you do to help the balance of that wealth ownership come in? Because it's, you want to buy an asset, and right now I see the prices of houses coming down, and you just were talking about it's not an equity builder like it was before.
Right. Because
So I'm
you're
wondering.
you're sitting here thinking that, "Oh, I'm making, high six figures. I'm doing well. I'm earning
Mhm,
well." And whenever you're looking for a home to purchase, you wanna buy in a better zip code. You wanna buy where your kids are gonna go to a better school.
yeah,
And when that happens, it's in the millions, typically.
yeah,
So, whenever you want to start reallocating for wealth building, again, it's the mindset shift. Don't go for the luxury home. Go for even land, right? You can start over. You
yeah.
know where I'm at right now. I had to look at my situation to say, hey, even with kids, I need to be able to build an asset. You will have to look at your income and say, you know what? I might be able to buy this house over here, but what should I do
Yeah.
for my wealth building, legacy? When
I
that
think
happens, land, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I think that you're spot on with that. I think that's so spot on what you just said.
Yeah. You can purchase land, you can build your home. You can buy, like you were saying, how you're fixing and flipping businesses, how you are buying them, scaling them, getting them to a certain level. You can start with a small house, fix it up, renovate it, and then resell it and get that profit back. Wash,
Mhm.
rinse, repeat. And then continue to put that money into assets, to the investing pocket, right? Right now, what happens is we get a little bit of promotion, we get a little bit more money, and then we want to increase our lifestyle, get a
That's
bigger
right.
house. Like you said before, we don't want to start at the starter home anymore. We're watching, we're seeing everything online, or where, all of our friends from college, everywhere, their jobs, with their, where they're living, what cars they're driving. We want to keep up with the Joneses. We don't want to live asset based. We want to live performing wealth based, which isn't going to help you and it's going to catch up to you.
I think that's so important to understand because, I have made the mistake you're talking about. I did that same thing, and it's interesting because you can either have wealth or perform wealth, and performance wealth will break you, and I know
Mhm.
that from personal experience as well. When I look at the future, I think it's very interesting what you're saying about wealth, because what we've known as wealth, that's the thing that's shifting. And
Mhm.
real estate has been the American dream. It has been the
Yeah.
foundation of wealth for so long. And now we're looking at something happening where real estate is going to be a luxury item. And I like the idea that you said get a smaller home, remodel it.
Mhm.
I got really lucky. I remember having, 5,000 square foot home and me. And I remember thinking, when I bought the place I currently live in, I bought it as I live now where people go vacation,
Mhm.
and I have a vacation size home. And I remember when I first got it, what I liked was it was cozy. and I loved the cozy.
Mm,
And then when I'd go from the cozy back into this 5,000 square foot home and just me, I remember thinking to myself, this is a show off home.
right.
And
Mhm.
that's the difference in wealth. In wealth, you're either showing off or showing up. When you show up, you're
That's good.
stewarding your wealth.
Mhm.
When you show off, you're breaking the bank, you're breaking yourself. And what happens is we think, I remember thinking that when you're wealthy, that you're supposed to show off or
Right.
something. It's like
Mhm.
you're supposed to buy that, supposed to do it or get it. But that's the whole thing. The wealth that we currently know as wealth builders are not building wealth.
Mm-mm.
Everything is teetering right now, and we know that. So, in order to get wealth, one of the things that I think is important because every place, it seems like every new place, there are POAs and HOAs everywhere. And
Yes.
I'm like, how, to me, part of the wealth building of owning a home is finding an area where there isn't an HOA
Mhm.
where, and I wonder, like, what do you think about that? And because the HOA is affecting how the wealth is. And what happens with an HOA is you become a homeowner or you become a permission based homeowner. Like
Yes.
permission to the, it's like
Mhm.
it you buy it, but you can't do anything with it.
No, you're completely right. Whenever you buy a home with an HOA, first of all, your home price that you think it's gonna be at forever, it's not. Of course, you have the taxes, right? But now you have HOA and you think the HOA is gonna be steady. It's not. It's always on the rise
Yep.
because they always wanna get their money. They can even foreclose on you, based on certain things and rules and regulations, which is a whole nother permission-based
Yeah.
issue that you're paying somebody to be able to have that much control over you and how you live and where you live at. So if somebody bought land and built on the land, not only would they have more acreage, but they would also have more freedom.
Hmm.
So it's not about home buying. It's not about the housing market. It's about what do you have access to in the housing market. There are other
Yeah.
options out there. We're just not talking about them. Like you said, whenever we get a little bit more money in an increase, we want to show what we feel like we're rewarding ourselves. We feel so good, like, oh, I'm making, X amount of thousands more. Let me upgrade my car. Let me upgrade my house. And not
Yeah.
thinking that now you're locked in.
Yeah. And it's the lock-in piece of it that's really important because the lock-in isn't the neighborhood or the school or where you live. The lock-in is the contract, the HOA. It's going to get to the point where when you buy the purchase of that home, you have to get to the point where you understand wealth. It's not about practicality or luxury.
No.
It's about ownership and what
Mhm.
you own. And here's the thing, if you own a home in an HOA and they can literally evict you from your home, do you actually own your home?
No.
You don't. So, where you're building that wealth, looking around for that particular type of house, you can get priced out of your home just due to dues, fees, and taxes. You buy the luxury home, dues, fees, and taxes can price you out within 5 years. So it's like looking at that. If the equity in your home is coming down, which it is going to come
It
down
is.
over
Mhm.
in markets, it is. Right now, it is definitely a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market. And you may be saying to yourself, oh my gosh, I need to downsize my home right now. I'm being priced out of it just due to dues, fees, and
Yes.
permissions.
Mhm.
Any of those things that are in that contract, and they can take your home from you just over that. You have to make sure that the place you own is full of ownership. Even if it's in a lesser neighborhood, it's more stable, it's a more you have to
Mhm.
create the stability conversation first. Give us some points about stability. Like, how can we do those? Or, give us some ideas of what we can do to stabilize. Um, and what would you say to somebody who's having a rough time right now? I mean, like bought the big home and needs to let it
Well,
go, but doesn't want to sell it because it's not a seller's market.
There are a few things to consider besides the HOAs too, right? Because your
Mhm.
electric bill is going to go up. If
Mhm.
you have a lot of square footage, you know, that energy bill is going to go up. Your water bill is going to get hiked up. Your payment, the cost of living in your home, in your luxury home, is going to skyrocket. And it's going to make your high
Yeah.
earning income minimal.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. First, Lisa Bothheiser, nice to see you, my friend. But the thing is, this is an important thing and a topic. When we consider home buying, the energy that it takes to keep the home safe so that you're
Mhm.
cooking, so that the winter isn't freezing, that is a point right now, because what we have is we have a finite amount of energy. It's not like it's seasonal and apples grow on trees in season
Right.
and during the summer the oil fields fill up with oil. That's not what happens.
Nope.
So what's happening right now is that finite war. This is a resource war, which is who's going to control the oil, because there isn't that much there. It
Mhm.
means that whatever you do, your fees are going to go up, your property taxes are going to go up, your energy to run it is going to go up, your
Every
HOA, everything is going
mhm.
up, 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 up. So the bigger home you buy, the more expensive it's going to be. So right now it'll say, well, your payment is going to be $2,500 a month for this home. And then your energy costs are only, and they give you a past bill to look at they don't tell you what the future bill is
It's
going to
gonna
be,
be
right?
mhm.
And so what ends up happening is you're like, oh, I can afford that. That's what your brain says. I can afford that. But then that right now I can afford that big truck. Everybody's going, oh, I have to fill that big truck up with $4 or $5 gas.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's the same thing with your home. It's going to be that thing. So I'm not saying downsize. I'm saying consider not
Mhm.
purchasing in an HOA. Don't make it so that you have erroneous fees that you have to pay for permission to put flowers in your front yard. You got to have ownership, ownership of the property. If you had to grow food in your backyard and you couldn't because you were in an HOA, what are you going to do? So it's like thinking about wealth. We think about having convenience and
Mhm.
comfort. Hey, Robert, nice to see you on. We think about having all kinds of luxury, a feeling, a vibe, but we don't think about the actual wealth and the ownership of it. What do you actually own when you're in an HOA? Do you own the land underneath you? Do you own the mineral rights? Do you own? No, somebody else does.
Mhm.
You just own the sticks and bricks on top. So to me, it's like when you're creating wealth, wealth is ownership. It's not renting. It's not asking permission. It's not watching prices go up, 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 up. It's being able to have optionality or options.
Right. And two, what you're saying about HOAs is so good. You're paying almost to be a prisoner in your own home, right?
Mm.
Because you can't and you can't and you can't and you can't. You have to ask, 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 ask. If you wanted to plant food that is a God given right, you can't do it. You can't do it because you need a yes from a board who's probably going to tell you no because of the contract that you didn't read fully. And what are
That's
you
right.
teaching your children about home owning, about wealth building, when you're in an HOA and you can't do anything? I know my children know I can't because when they're talking about putting the garden in the back, and I'm like, it can't be attached to the ground. How are we going to do it? We're going to grow up from the tree. We're going to tie, a basket from the tree. What? It has to be portable. So now you
Yeah.
got to get creative in your own backyard.
Yeah. It's a lot of the things people don't see how their rights are being siphoned from them.
Mhm.
They don't see. And so it used to be that land Land was land, and you own the mineral rights on the home and everything else
Yes.
on it. You own the assets underneath the land, which is water rights, mineral rights. If you can't go ahead and drill for a well on your land, you don't really own the land. If you figure out that how other people have made your life constraining, it's not, you're
Mhm.
not the problem. You're
Right.
you're it's not that you can't make enough money or you're not doing this. It's not that. It's that this is very much by design. And we have to become aware and purposeful about where we're placing our money.
Mhm.
Because right now, what you're doing is either placing your wealth into somebody else's hands,
Yes.
and then you don't have access to it. Or, like she said, you're a prisoner in your own home. And real estate right now is part of a psychological thing that we think is the American dream. And the
Mhm.
American dream used to be that you owned land, productive land, not own the land, but own the sticks and bricks on top.
Mhm.
And there's a vast difference between how wealth is built now and all of the obstacles they have put in the way of you and your wealth. So let's say you have a good salary, you're making, I don't know,
Mhm.
250,000 a year.
Right.
So 250,000 a year, you're buying a home, you've got a decent car, you
Mhm.
live in a good neighborhood. You have a 401k, an IRA, a profit sharing, a this, a that, or the other. But it's everything you have has to have somebody else's blessing in order for you to access it. So here you are, you own your money. Then you give your money to a investment
Yes.
bank who,
Mhm.
there's your 401k.
Mhm.
You give your money to invest in a home that you think is going to bring you peace and equity and everything else. And then everybody else around that house controls exactly the price that you're going to pay for
Mhm.
services rendered. And just like Monique said, which I think is such a spot on point, if you buy the house thinking that the price of living in there isn't going to skyrocket, then you're crazy. And right now, the biggest skyrocket is going to be energy.
Yes.
In the fall, is that war going to still be going on? Going into the winter, does your home get heated with oil, natural gas? How do you heat your home?
Mhm.
And what if oil right now is $5 to $7 a gallon, depending on where you are?
Mhm.
It's being rationed in China. It's being
Yes.
rationed in Europe.
Mhm.
It hasn't hit the United States. But how long do you think it's going to be before they're rationing oil? And will it be a cold winter when they do that? So what happens next is, if you're going to invest in a property, I want you to have some discernment about what's happening in the future.
Mhm.
What are the things? And I think Monique has been or letting you know that big home ownership isn't all it's cracked up to be.
No.
And it may not, it's like this luxury thing that you give yourself so you feel good or more important. Now, I got to tell you, a big family needs a big home. That's it.
Mhm.
But if it's just you and your salary, or you and the possibility of having a family, if you're new to this and the future looks rocky, if you build your wealth on a solid platform, you're going to be okay. So here's the most important thing about this real estate investing: you're not trying to build an asset that you hope goes up in equity.
Right.
You're
No.
trying to buy an asset that is unshakable, unbreakable,
Mhm.
uncontrollable. You want to own whatever needs to be done with that. And you want to have good ownership. Like, if you own a house and you're not in an HOA, keep it clean, just like everybody else does.
Right. One thing I like that you said, Vicky, is, well, two things. One, and you said this before in a prior podcast, there are only two ways to get wealth: you buy it or you build it.
That's it.
If you're going to build, get your land, build your house, Buy enough house that you can afford, understanding that prices may go up. Just count the cost of the increase, price of cost of living into it. If you're going to buy intelligently, buy with discernment, buy thinking, okay, it doesn't have to be for my friends and family. It doesn't have to be for Instagram and Facebook. I can
Yes.
actually buy just for me. I don't have to buy the $1 million home in the, richest neighborhood so that whenever somebody drive by or I have a house party, they can see it. Be
Yeah.
practical with it. Just discern what it is. This isn't saying that tomorrow, the whole market's going to crash. That's not what we're saying at all. We're not even really talking about real estate. We're talking about owning
That's
right
right.
now. And owning, build it or buy it, but do it with discernment.
Yeah, I think that's so important because I think people have been sold the wrong story of ownership.
Hmm.
That's the real thing that we're hoping to educate people. We have our new book coming out, Hidden Rules, and we're wealth rules because there are rules about how wealth is built that are so solid. So I want to look at right now, if you see ranchers that have cattle and everything else, and
Hmm.
they have big lots of land, they have lots of assets, they're very stable and wealthy, and they don't care if the market goes up or down. Their wealth, their land, their business, their ranch is
Yes.
solid. It's
Hmm.
not so easy to tip over or lose. The
Yes.
key thing is the reason people are losing at the real estate game is because they keep investing in what they think they own, but they don't know what they own, and they don't know what other people own that should be yours,
Hmm.
the right to do something with your land. So there's a point where the downsizing of a home is a smart move. But I know right now there's a lot of people who have bought the dream home instead of the starter home first, which is the starter home, you know. And now they're in this big home where the energy prices are rising. There's a bit of tumultuousness in the market. If they don't do something and they're in an HOA that can go ahead and put liens on the property because they didn't read the contract, or they can
Right.
evict somebody, or they can take the home from them, or
Yes.
whatever else they can do. What are some of the things what are there any options other than sell your home? I mean, what would you say to somebody who's really riding that wave?
What I've seen in the market is more families pulling together. They're bringing
Mhm.
in, their parents moving in, maybe not selling their home in particular, but selling the other family member's home. You can look
Ah,
at even, with people with adult children who are looking to buy homes. Look at off-market home, distressed homes. Look at foreclosure tax liens. You can still buy the same amount of home, maybe in a different way. But a lot of families are just coming together, looking at the affordability of housing right now and affordability of everything, honestly.
yeah.
Food, gas, whatever, electric, trying to figure it all out, but moving together. If you can't move together with your family, that's fine too, because there are other things that you can do. Like Vicky was talking about, having a home based business, having your office in your home, making sure that you have ownership of something in your home. If you have an HOA and you can't own the outside, own something on the inside. Have a
Mhm.
lifeboat business.
Yeah,
You know,
that's right.
figure that part out and include that in your tax strategy.
It's kind of interesting today where we have to make different choices in how you build wealth. Wealth has always been there. It's always there. It's all around you. What we've done over generations now, so maybe 3 or 4 generations, is buy into this American dream.
Mhm.
In the beginning, in the 1930s, the American dream was fabulous. I
Yes.
get it, because what it allowed you to do was get a home, and the home had a food forest in the back of it, because in the 1930s there wasn't Walmart, and there wasn't, you grew what you grew and you did what you did, and your local community was much stronger. Now we're on internet and we're spread around, like
Mhm.
I'm talking to, several people that are, I don't even know where they are. But the key thing is, it hasn't become that the community is changed. It's the definition of community that has changed.
Mhm.
So, like, how you go into those big apartment complexes to look at an apartment and they're like, "Welcome to the community."
Mhm.
You have a business room, and here's the workout room, and here's the pool in the
Yes.
backyard, but none of it is, preserving wealth. It's all convenience. It's all to give you a feeling of belonging, to give you a feeling of luxury, to give you a false sense of self-esteem. And what people are looking for, the reason that they have been able to buffalo people now,
Mhm.
is because we think our self-esteem is based on the things we have, the ability to buy. I remember the first time, there's something so powerful that happens. I don't know if it's bad or good. I just know that when you can go into some place and look at something and say, "I want that," and say, "I'll pay cash for it right now." Like, "I want that car." Bam, and you put the check down, or you put the credit card down, and you can buy the entire car all at once and say,
Mhm.
"Thank you." There's something inside you that happens where it feels like it feels satiating it for a few minutes, like, I can buy this car when I want. I can do this when I want. It makes you feel this false sense of importance.
Right.
And what
Mhm.
happens is, as soon as you feel that false sense of importance, they can talk you out of your money. They can,
Mhm.
right away, that anybody can talk you out of your, because you've given away the thing that you need. So if you're going to grow wealth, you have to, one, look at the wealth you've already got and what ownership you have in that wealth. For instance, if you have like a life insurance policy, that's something that's ownership. If my spouse dies, I get something to back me up. We don't know if it'll cover all the expenses or not, but it's still an asset that can be
Mhm.
attached to. It can have a savings in it if they want a savings thing where you think, "Oh, I've got a little money saved." You probably have more money saved if you invested it. But either way, you have something as a backup plan. But the key question is, what do you own in that contract?
Mhm.
Ownership is always in the contract. It's not in the car, it's not in the house. It is always in that contract. And real estate ownership is very much about what's in the contract that you actually own. Do you know?
And I would like to say this too. I want to share this with you and our listeners. And if you have an HOA and you're listening right now and you're live, put HOA in the comments because I feel your pain right now. There are so many things that you want to know or you want to be aware of that are in your contract because you're excited and you have a good reason to be. You're going to the closing table. You're about to buy your first home. You know, you've told everybody and everybody's taking pictures. It's a great day. So you're not necessarily looking. But what I typically do, and hopefully people that I work with have shared this with their loved ones, always ask for your contract 2 or 3 days before. You're able to have control over what you know, but you got to know it first. So if you can read your contract, have a couple of days to ask a few questions, and then say with a clear conscience, this is what I want to do. If you want an HOA, that's fine. Some people do. Some people don't mind paying it because they want that kind of neighborhood, which is great. But just know that you have options, but you have to have optionality ahead of time. You gotta get it first and not last because then you're stuck with it. And two, when you're thinking of For instance, an adult child having a place to live. You might want to think about a multi-family home first. You might want to think about several units and putting them in one unit instead of buying a luxury home right out. They're out of college, they're ridden with debt, college debt, price of gas, everything is going to be higher. So you might want to think about how can I use this as leverage and an asset, an income bearing property versus just buying your child a condo or a townhome without all those other things added.
That is that is beautiful because we're looking at ways to create wealth. And some of the wealth that we've been sold is not actually wealth at all.
Yeah.
And real estate is becoming that now. It's not the kind of wealth that our forefathers, your grandparents had that you can legacy down or things like that. You have to be careful about how you're building wealth. So, I want to jump a little bit from real estate. We started with real estate because that's usually the number one place where Americans invest first. It's their
Mhm.
biggest, largest investment, it's their largest asset. And that's where their mindset is still in that, well, I got to buy a home. So if I were in my 20s and I was
Mhm.
starting, let's say I just graduated college
Right.
and I had a degree and I had started in a good job. And let's say I'm a beginner intern cuz I just got out of college. Let's say I'm making 90,000 a year cuz you're out and you're in a good neighborhood and you're
Mhm.
doing your work thing and everything else. And I think that right now it is a time when you're 20 or 30, your options out of college are marginal.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that you graduate with college, so you have this debt. I know that most of the students have the
Mhm.
debt. So let's say the debt is nominal. Let's say it's only 70,000. Let's say it's not 100 or
Right.
200,000 like it is. Let's just say it's 70,000. So you're making 90,000 a year and you have a job that could, let's say it lasts for 2 or 3 years before your industry gets rocky. You could be a nurse or you could be something. So inside that, you have all this debt to pay. The first investment I would make after college is not more college. It's not upgrading my degree.
Mhm.
I would learn the next best thing. The most important thing you can learn to create is a business. You see, a home is an asset and a business is an asset. And
Yes.
if you want to own a home, they're going to want some collateral. Your job, your income that
Mhm.
is a paycheck to paycheck is not considered collateral,
Right.
but that business is, the income from that business is, because you want to create and invest in an LLC. And inside that LLC, that's something what she said earlier, there are only two ways to build wealth. You either buy it or you build it. So just like she said, you either buy a home, you have an asset, you build a home, you have an asset.
Mhm.
You either buy a business, you have an asset,
Mhm.
especially if it's profitable, or you build a business. And here's the thing, I would start learning how to bootstrap that business. That one skill will make you. So if you're starting out right now, we're starting out in tough conditions. So you need to learn how to build wealth. If you know how to build it, and then you can take that and buy it. So I
Mhm.
would take my LLC and I would make, a Jane Doe investments and I would start building a business. And then with the profits from that business, I would probably buy layers of security first. I buy more assets.
Mhm.
Even if it was, I would buy gold and silver first because I think metals are the next best thing. So when you're building that business, you want to buy the assets for the business. You want to take your job and create your savings. Here's your 3 months worth of
Mhm.
money. And I would say 6 to a year of
Right.
money and just keep going. And you're just starting. Give yourself 5 to 10 years to build just these assets.
Mhm.
Now, the thing is, when kids start earning money and they're young and they're like, I'm in the high five figure. I mean, the high five
Mhm.
figures to seven-figure range, and you're thinking Lamborghini, and I want to go on this vacation. I want to go on this boat cruise. I want to go to this country. I want to wear all these clothes. I want to look good for the ladies. I want to look good for the men, and you're doing all of this stuff, trying to find what is it that Ray says? Where the hell is my husband? So you're trying to find that partner that's going to be your life partner and you're
Right.
young,
Mhm.
etc. That's when you have to think too, because that you can blow yourself out of the water with that wealth thing. And what happens when you're young and you start becoming rich is you look for that dream piece of real estate, and that dream piece of real estate will kill you if
Yes.
you
Yes.
you have to have strong foundations of wealth before you step up. So if you're in your 30s, you've probably been annihilated in your mind and your heart. Like, I hate my job. I hate my degree. I mean, I know I did. And I don't know about you. Did you ever get corporate work time? Were you ever in the corporate? Were you always an entrepreneur?
I actually, yeah, I had a job,
For
worked Centurion Card, American Express, loved it, and the people that I got to talk to were amazing. Even worked for a business credit bureau, enjoyed that as well. But what it taught me was that I needed to build a business. I needed to be either a 1099 contractor, work my
Mhm.
schedule, work as many hours as I wanted to, and not have anybody cap what I was doing. Typically, I was working in sales, and whenever you're working in sales, they might say, okay, you only can make this amount, or you make this amount, and then there's things that you have to do to keep that amount before you
Yeah.
can go to the next tier. And I realized early on, I was like, oh, wow, I'm doing great. Why am I being stopped here? And then, okay, you can get a promotion, but if you get a promotion, you have to get rid of the sales piece of it. Now you're in management, but you can't continue to make as much as you want to make. And I was like, that's not a good fit for me at all. But I think that most people have been taught to get a job,
Yeah.
go to college, get a degree, make that high, salary, make your parents proud so they can brag about you at the family reunion. Everybody says, engineer, doctor, lawyer, great. They live, they have this house. And so you want to keep buying because you want to keep impressing. They teach you that
Yes.
early on. The competition isn't how many assets can you have and own. It's what can you buy and how good can you look.
Yeah.
And so we're
Yeah,
not teaching up the youth.
that there used to be this funny saying, I think it was the 90s. Now I've given my age away, but um it was he who dies with the most toys wins. And it was this thing where, it was the keeping up with the Joneses. It was
Mhm.
like, well, we have the camper and we have the 2 cars and we have the skidoos and now we have a boat and now we have a it's that keeping up with the Joneses. He who
Mhm.
dies with the most toys wins. It keeps you in the loop of debt. And that loop of debt ends when you start. It's like you only have two choices in building and buying assets, but you only have two choices. You can either buy wealth or buy debt. That's it. Those are your only two choices. And what they've done is change us. They trained us over and over again. They were like, buy debt, buy debt, buy debt. Your credit score is very important to the
Mhm.
person you are. You're either upstanding or you're not, and your credit
Right.
score is going to help you be upstanding. What a
And
crock of junk.
doesn't that affect you emotionally and psychologically? You're sitting there and you're like a yo-yo, and then if your score drops, now you're having a bad day. Now you lost self-esteem. But also when you're buying, you feel important. You feel like, oh, you
Mhm.
know what? I worked hard in college. I worked
Yeah.
hard, at my job to get my promotion. I deserve this. I've earned this. I've earned that extra boat. I've earned that vacation. I've earned that trip, the luxury trip abroad. I've earned that. And then, when you come back from your trip or your vacation, you're going to be able to tell everybody what you did and where you went. But
And that's it.
yeah, emotionally, you're a wreck. Your nervous system, I'm sure, is all over the
Yeah.
place because you're trying to keep
Trying
up.
to pay off that debt. I gotta say that's so important what you just said, because everybody always talks about having a money mindset, this money
Hmm.
mindset. And then you're doing all these affirmations, money comes to me easily, effortlessly, beautifully, blah, blah, blah. It's such a bunch of crap.
Right.
Don't believe that. A money mindset is a structure, it's an
Yeah.
architecture. And what
Hmm.
happens is, the way the game is played is you make money and they want to siphon as much money from you as they can. So even if we wrote a post in the wealth rules, we talked about taxes, because
Yes.
you get taxed on your money.
Hmm.
Then you get taxed when you spend your money. Then you get
Hmm.
taxed when you save your money. Then you get taxed. It never ends. So
Never.
then there is fees. There's fees on fees on fees on fees on fees. They erroneously make up, well, this is a fee for transaction fee.
Hmm.
And I'm like, a $10 transaction fee, a $10 transaction fee. That's what you want to, yes. Because of what? The service doesn't get any better. It
Right.
doesn't get any different. So what happens with your mindset is, they never taught us about wealth, which is
Hmm.
what hidden rules is. It's the wealth that they didn't teach you about, which we talk about every single day.
Yes.
The actual process of building wealth that you own. You cannot outsource your wealth. So here's what I have to say. I don't know about her. I don't like the stock market. I think it is a bunch of cuss words that are going through my head right now. Now, one of the things that is there for me is, I remember listening to Grant Cardone. He was at a conference and he said, "You guys are stupid. We don't invest. Rich people don't invest in the stock market." And that shocked me, because all workers, if you're a worker,
Hmm.
you get sold
One.
401ks, IRAs,
Hmm.
pensions, profit sharing, blah, blah, blah. You get only market wealth. That's it. And it's not market wealth. It is literally you giving money to them and they control it. They control your access to it. They can now fee you, they can penalize you, they can tax you and everything else. It's you not owning your money.
Right.
So what happens with wealth is, we're not taught how to steward our wealth. That's what Wealth Rules is about. And that's why we came together to go, you know what? The future is coming where everything you own, you have to ask permission for.
Hmm.
You have to ask permission to access your own money, your own. You gave your power away, and that has to stop. I just want to let everyone know, I'm seeing all the hearts and loves. Thank you so
Hmm.
much for that. We're on with you, and thank you for being here during this conversation. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I know you're talking about the public market.
Hmm.
Feeling was that I was going to be in a better position with the private market.
Ah,
So, I would, I hate 401k. I hate the public market. It just sucks.
yeah.
It's a gambit. No, all markets to a certain extent, right? Um, you think that if you're earning wealth, that your private market safe. You're not. You're not. Um, Still getting a piece of paper is not owning at all. It's just going from a public market to a private market. Your ownership there is not what you want it to be for one of the wealth rules, right? You
Yeah.
don't actually own it, and you need to know what you actually own, what you actually have control of. And then when I saw that, that's when my take on the whole entire market changed. I was like, oh, I don't like the regular public market. That's fine, but the private market, that's cool. We can work with that. And then it was like, no, you don't own anything there either.
Yeah, it's like in any market, whether, and I know this from being an investor, where I've, invested in companies. I've pitched banks for money for companies, et cetera, and how the game is
Mhm.
played. And one of the things that uh, you do as an investor is you're looking at a team of people and you're thinking, can they pull off what they say they're going to pull off? I mean,
Mhm.
is this really, if you've ever gone to an investor place where everybody sits around and you just hear pitches all day,
Right.
and you look at the team and you're like, are they good enough to do what they say they're going to do? That's really the sign for
Mhm.
me of whether I want to invest in it, because circumstances happen and money is always a risk. Money is always a risk when you're investing it or giving it to someone else or allowing
Yes.
someone else control of your money. When you own assets and you steward your assets and you are building those first, you build that platform of actual ownership. That's the
Mhm.
way, if you came on, if you got off the boat in on the East Coast and on you hit Plymouth Rock and you got on there, what you own to create your wealth with, that tools and lumber and everything else that they made their bricks and sticks homes, that ownership was everything. That's what kept you alive.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is, what is happening is they're destabilizing the world. And who's the that's destabilizing it? I think it's mostly governments. I do not believe that it is as
Right.
much billionaires as it is governments.
Mhm.
Why? Because governments around the world are broke.
Mhm.
So, how do you get money if you're a government? You have to take it from
Taxes.
taxpayers.
Mhm.
You have to design and build in ways to siphon money from your populace into your government, which is what they're doing now.
Mhm.
So, what happens is the market is a great way to siphon money out of your pockets over here, meaning when you have an emergency, when you need access to your
Mhm.
money, when you need it for whatever life gives us, whether it's a pink slip or an illness or parents moving in or whatever,
Right.
you don't have access to it
Right.
unless you're one third of it is penalized. At least one third of it. And that doesn't include taxes and fees and everything else. So the thing is, if you're not stewarding your wealth, you're letting piranha eat at your wealth.
Mhm.
You put
Mhm.
that dollar bill over there and they're like as much as they can.
Mhm.
That habit isn't going away. It's
Right.
never gone away. And as the government realizes that, $40 trillion in debt means the piranha has to be as big as a great white shark now to take a big bite of your money and your wealth. You have to make yourself stabilize yourself. You have to
Yes.
give yourself options. Now, I know a lot of people metals are so high. Metals are like, it's almost $5,000 for a piece of gold. And you have to look at yourself and say, where do I think gold is going? Do I think
Mhm.
it's going to come back down? How long do I think the markets are going to, how long are they going to
Right.
kick the can down before the can is at the end of the road and there's no other option? Owners are going to be stabilized. So here's an important thing I want you to know. There are two types of wealth. There's correlated wealth
Mhm.
and non-correlated
Correlated.
wealth.
Right.
And if your real estate is correlated wealth, meaning it goes up and down and up and down and up and down based on the economic wave, you're going to live very tumultuously. If you have a farmhouse or a homestead or a piece of property that is out of an HOA that you can put solar panels on and things that are going to help it make you stronger, then you have something that you can do, that you can give back, that is going to help you stabilize your future. And that's really what we're looking at, is how to stabilize our future. I know we lost Monique for a second, but girlfriend will be back in a minute. What I want to be able to say to you is the future is not stable. We're not going into more stable. The next 5-10 years, we have so many things in place. We have climate change. We have We have politics, the political theater that's going on. We have wars going on, and we have things that are in our world that are going to make things harder and better at the same time, like AI and medical stuff. We're going to see incredible cures, but we're also going to see career losses and money losses that are unlike before. So if you're in this unstable place over here and you're not creating any stability, this is why you want to watch and be a part of Wealth Rules like you have today. I want to be able to say that for the people who are thinking, I need a business, especially women, we have a free community. You can go to the Independent Woman where I am, and we'll show you how to build an inexpensive, go with you anywhere business that'll start bringing you in money right now. And the community is powerful. They are amazing women, and they help each other rise up all together, and it's free to join. There's nothing there. Nobody's going to go, oh, by the way, to join this, it's going to cost you $1 million. It won't even cost you $1. It won't cost you 50 cents to join. But what's in there is more of this kind of education. How do I actually build real wealth, stable wealth, unshakable wealth? This is what the wealthy people know that the average person doesn't know. And in the book, I'll tell you how I learned it and how I've used it. And Monique uses it as well. And she's so brilliant in what she's doing. But what I want to say right now is thank you for joining this hour with us. It's been great. And the people who are listening to us, I haven't met you yet, but I see you, and I appreciate you trusting me with the last hour. I appreciate that very much. And I can't wait to see you on the next live. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us today. See you later. Bye bye.